Yeah, like what? Like, was there any like specific like scene that you just that like took half a month to do or something?
Well, I mean, I guess the greatest obstacle we had to overcome in the early days was the lip sync package, which was the thing we used to make the characters talk. And that we wrote that ourselves in-house and developed that ourselves. So that was like, especially when we had, you know, Dan over here at the network going, so when are we going to see the first show? And it's like, as soon as this software works, you know, that kind of thing. So that was a doozy, I think.
I remember you guys with bug problems.
Bugs, we had a lot of bugs.
And there was this, again, it's funny how you just remember certain things. There was a moment that I was talking to Ian, and we kept on hitting bugs, and they just always had problems. And they had a great, incredible staff of technical there trying to solve things. They're going. And what happened was that they used to have so many problems, and then they looked at the list, and you have these major problems that causes crashes, and all these little problems that slow you down.
Yeah, we had to prioritize them.
And you always prioritize them. And what happened was, I remember the day Ian goes to me, he goes, we've been approaching this wrong. We have these giant crashing problems over here, so if that makes the system crash, let's just not do it. And we're And he went like this. He took the list. He goes, let's just worry about the little things that slow down us all the time. Yeah. So they went after all the slow bugs first, the small things, because they were easier to fix and it moved this process faster. And they just avoided the things that were big that would have crossed the whole system down. So that was one of. It was everything about it was a learning process every step of the way. Which was funny because we were the only studio. Mainframe was the only studio able to pull this off. And so many studios are out there now, just as ReBoot sitting saying, we could do that, we could do that. And we were watching everybody crash and burn around us. Yeah. You know, and we watched them make all the same mistakes. We offered no help. Right back there.
Oh. This really isn't a very important question, but I was just curious what inspired the guitar duel in Talent Night.
What inspired?
There's a lot of things inspiring, a lot of things in Talent Night.
I mean, Talent Night, do you remember how Talent Night started? What it was supposed to be? Talent Night was supposed to be a bottle show. I don't know if you know what a bottle show is. That's a show where you take like two characters and lock them in a cupboard and they talk about things that happened in the past. Yeah. It was to save production time.
Exactly.
That's how Talent Night started.
Mainframe did nothing to save production time.
Yeah, there was going to be a static storm that stranded like half a dozen characters in the diner, and it was Enzo's birthday, so they put on a little show for him in the diner for his birthday. And all you could see out the windows was static, and you couldn't see anything, to save production time. And look what it became. So, you know, and I guess when it got to the point where it's like, and the culmination of the show had to be Megabyte. Mm-hmm. You know, you got all these other acts going on, and it's like, well, the end of the show has to be Bob and Megabyte. What are they going to do? And it's like, rock and roll.
Did you have a question?
Yes.
Also about Talent Night, you said that YTV actually did Night for season 3, but the YTV robot is in Talent Night, and I was wondering why.
Oh, well, because we had season 2.
Yeah, well,
YTV were on board in season 2 too.
Right? You got to understand the history. So you don't know it in New York or in the U.S., but actually ReBoot was the top-rated children's show and actually one of the top-rated shows in Canada. On YTV, top-rated show. That's the reason why they supported it so much. Yeah. And
all the way through.
Yeah, and one of the reasons why it wasn't just on Saturday mornings. The place where it ran and got its biggest number and actually was winning its time period was at 6 o'clock at night, Monday through Friday. So, and they used to run the hell out of these shows, and it used to be #1 there constantly. Yeah. So YTV.
The hell out of the U.S. version, and we got the best part in
Yep,
Canada.
absolutely.
Yeah. Like the line with God, the gun, she steps out of the thing, the web world horse.
Oh yeah.
She says in the Canadian version, "Do you think it makes me look too good?"
We had it aired at like 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, that was about a tsunami.
Power block.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I remember that. Waking up that early to watch.
What do you got?
Oh, awesome! It's about the fourth season. What inspired you to make Matrix what inspired you to make Matrix lose its eye?
Yeah, I was lost at the top of the third season, the middle of the third season, episode 5.
I know, game over. But what inspired you to actually have the eye lost and the tracking ball?
Yeah, it was Enzo who lost it in the final.
Yeah, he lost it in the game. Lost in the game, yeah.
Yeah, in Game Over.
Yeah.
What inspired us to do that? I don't know.
I think what happened, one of the things they wanted that really cool look with the locking and loading with the gun.
The eye and the gun.
The eye and the gun
yeah.
basically syncs up and shoots.
So I
That's one
think
of the,
that led,
Yeah.
it sort of reverse engineered.
And also just, it was supposed to be scarring him, and the fact about showing a physical scarring, about how much he was emotionally scarred during
Yeah.
the time.
Which he
was-
kept. I mean, I've been talking to some of you guys about this. It's like, in theory, a sprite could upgrade and change their appearance, and he could have fixed his eye and got his eye back, but he didn't. He kept the scar.
Because he wanted to carry that memory of, and his hatred of viruses. That
Yeah.
was always about the hatred of viruses. Even that
Yeah,
episode.
It was a symbol.
Yeah, right through. Right here.
Can you give us an idea behind the creative process of deciding what kind of games would be in the GameCubes?
Whatever we could rip off.
Yeah, it's, what was the hot movie that month
Well,
or
we
that
did the
year?
Son- you did the
or,
Sonic, you did-
What did we like?
He loved Evil Dead.
Yes. And Elvira.
And Elvira. And Xena. And guess what? All was in one episode.
Oh no, because Xena was in Icons as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly. Right on.
Let's go back right back there. Right away.
What was the intention in leaving us with a worst case scenario?
Which was the worst case scenario?
Like when Megabyte takes over mainframe.
Oh, that's.
Oh right. It's like at the end of I mean, we kept thinking ReBoot was dead, right?
Yeah.
So at the end of season 3, we gave you a big, wonderful, happy, glorious musical ending where everybody was happy and Little Enzo was back and everything was great because we thought that was it, right?
Yeah.
We thought the show was over and we'd never get to make any more. Then we got to make more, and it was like, okay, this time round, we're going to go the other way. We're going to,
So that way people are going to want more.
yeah.
And it didn't work out.
And it didn't work out. But to be fair, though, we didn't actually intend to leave it on quite such a cliffhanger. If you remember, we had the script for all the scripts were long for season 4 because we were trying to, because at that point we really did think it was the end,
Yeah.
and we were cramming as much into them as we possibly could, so they were really stuffed. And the point where Megabyte says prepare yourself for the hunt was the end of Act 2. So Act 3, because shows are 3 acts, right? The third act was supposed to be the hunt. And it had a resolution. But we were writing the script and we had the outline and it read great as an outline. And then we start writing it and we get to prepare yourself for the hunt. And we're already on like page 27. And it's like, we're not going to be able to do this. Yeah. We don't have enough screen time to do the whole thing. And so Ian and I argued, this was my turn.
Finally.
It was my turn to argue with Ian. Ian and I went back and forth for days. We had 2 options. It was either we end the series with a good show with a cliffhanger, or a kind of half-assed cram it all in and it's not a really good show but we have an ending show. And what would the fans prefer? This was us speaking for you guys. It was like, what would the fans prefer? Would you prefer a satisfying episode with a cliffhanger or a crappy episode? And we figured that a good episode with a cliffhanger on the end was a better option.
Are you going to leave us hanging just like the Italian job?
Exactly. Hey, work for the Italian job. There you go.
Okay, now I'm going to drop.
Precedent.
I'm going to drop with one more. I got to do one more story. This is the greatest failure of ReBoot.
Uh-oh.
I'm going to say this because we're going to say this. I'm going to say the greatest failure of ReBoot. So we got the end of the 3rd season, right? Got the end of the 3rd season coming on, and we have the whole destruction, and we engineer the system crash.
Yeah.
Engineer the system crash, and we hope that the user will basically.
Oh God, I know what you're going to say.
So we hope the user is going to save us, right? So this is the first time you're going to see us step outside of the system ever. First time we ever want to do it. So the system crashes, everything goes black, and a screen pops up, and it says restart, yes or no.
Yeah.
Right? Yes or no, and then you hit yes, and then the whole system's rebuilt. And we got this. Wow, this is great. This is a big emotional moment. So the whole show's done. We're ready to ship it out. And we're watching the show, and we're sitting there, and we all go, wow, restart. Guess it would have been smarter if we used the word reboot, wouldn't it? Show's already gone. And we're looking at each other. Yeah, that's real stupid.
That was a moment of collective stupidity.
And you just see everybody's face light up at the same time going, wow, we really blew it.
And we're trying to justify, some of the speckier guys are trying to justify it by sort of going, well, you know, on a real computer, it wouldn't say reboot, it would say restart. And we're like, it doesn't really matter. It should have said reboot.